Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you our nightly update. And after our live, while we were in this morning's special update, we had a hurricane reconnaissance plane that was investigating Melissa. And ever since then, the surface circulation and the mid level circulation have begun to become much better aligned vertically. And we have ourselves the beginning of Melissa starting to show her full cards. Taking a look at the NHC site, we still have a tropical storm, but I'm not too sure how long that's going to last. Taking a look at the most recent mesoscale satellite imagery, we can really start to see a lot of that curved banding of some very, very strong shower and thunderstorm activity. Some extremely hot towers located here to the east of the center. The center is becoming a lot better aligned with the mid level circulation, and it's basically from about here on out, folks. It's go time. All preparations for the warned areas need to be rushed to completion immediately. Because now it's game on, and we are going to be dealing with an absolute nightmare of a system until the middle of next week. And it's going to have devastating impacts to multiple locations. So the time is up. Especially for folks here in Jamaica. We are going to go through all of the countries here momentarily and their bulletins. Folks, this is a no joke scenario. All preparations need to be rushed to completion immediately. Taking a look at the 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time advisory, Melissa is located at 16.0 north, 74.3 west, about 215 miles southeast of Kingston, Jamaica, about 225 miles southwest of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Maximum sustained winds have increased to 65 miles an hour. It is currently moving north, or 360 degrees due north, at 2 miles an hour, with the minimum central pressure has fallen now down to 995 millibars. There have been no changes with our watches and warnings. We still have a hurricane watch in effect for the southern peninsula or the southwestern peninsula of Haiti, the Tiburon Peninsula, running all the way over to the Dominican Republic border. We also have a hurricane watch in effect for Jamaica. That will be upgraded soon to a hurricane warning. The moment this is upgraded to a hurricane warning, both international airports on the islands will cease operations. A tropical storm warning is in effect for both locations. Hazards affecting land, the most important part of any National Hurricane Center public advisory. Always this: hazards affecting land. It may be at the bottom of the advisory, but it is by far the most important portion of the advisory. Wind. Hurricane conditions are possible within the watch area in Haiti later this weekend, and Jamaica beginning late this weekend or early next week. Tropical storm conditions are expected to begin in Haiti tonight or Saturday, and in Jamaica late Saturday into Sunday. Rainfall. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. Melissa is expected to bring total rainfall of 15 to 25 inches of two portions of southern Hispaniola and Jamaica through Tuesday, with local maxima of 35 inches possible across the Tiburon Peninsula of Haiti. Additional heavy rainfall is likely beyond Tuesday. The uncertainty at that time range precludes exact storm totals. Potentially catastrophic flash flooding and landslides are possible across portions of Jamaica and the southern Dominican Republic, while catastrophic flash flooding is anticipated in southern Haiti. For southeast Cuba, total rainfalls of 4 to 8 inches, with local amounts of 12 inches are possible into Tuesday. Additional heavy rainfall is likely beyond Tuesday. The uncertainty at that time range precludes exact storm totals. Storm surge. There's going to be storm surge somewhere. And we are looking at definitely, I can't say definitely, but highly likely, very, very probable that we are going to see some significant storm surge there into Jamaica. Anywhere where the onshore winds, which would then be on the southern shore, anything that would be east of the center of circulation. The closer you are to the core, the higher the wind speeds are, the more surge you will see. As far as a particular value, here we go. However, there is a risk of more life threatening storm surge, especially along the south coast of Jamaica early next week. Peak storm surge heights could reach 5 to 10 feet above ground level, near and east of where the center of Melissa makes landfall. This storm surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. As far as the surf is concerned, folks, don't get in, just stay out of the water. Enough's enough. We've already got disastrous situations on our hands. We do not need to add to more of that potential risk. Please stay out of the water if you are in the Caribbean. Taking a look at the 5 p.m. forecast cone, as you can see now, a sharp turn to the left, running until about Monday, and then starting to make that slow pull to the north, and then a sharp acceleration from Tuesday to Wednesday. This is almost the worst case scenario. If this were to follow the center track line, this would honestly be the worst case scenario for Kingston. The onshore winds would just drive waters right up into Kingston Harbor, which then becomes a trap. And with all of the water that would be trying to flow down from the mainland down in and trying to get offshore, flowing into the harbor, that harbor is going to be backed up, and then that water that is coming from the mainland has nowhere to go. That's what is known as compound flooding. Please, folks, I cannot stress this enough. Rush your preparations to completion. I made mention of this earlier, and I looked into it as far as the damage goes from one of the most famous storms there in Jamaica, being Gilbert back in 1988. Folks, I'm not going to play punches with you guys tonight. After what I've seen here today and consistently over the last few runs, this has all of the potential to be worse than Gilbert. It really does. And this is going to be long, persistent rainfall, long, persistent, strong winds, and the potential to see the core of this system making contact with the mainland itself after we have already seen 15 to 25 inches of rain fall. I cannot stress this enough. Please, I've been looking at all of the stuff from the Jamaican Observer, the newspaper there, or one of the news outlets there on the island. I do know that they are clearing storm drains. I do know that they are boarding up and sheltering up. My heart goes out to everybody down there. Please, please, please rush preparations to immediate completion. The spaghetti plots have really started to tighten up. Now, one thing that is not certain, is this going to make landfall on the east side of the island? Is it going to make landfall on the central portion of the island? Is it going to go all the way out to the western portions of the island? That we don't know yet. There is still a great bit of cross-track uncertainty with this, but we do know that as far as a turn is concerned, that's pretty well solid. The cold fronts and the jet stream that would be associated with those frontal boundaries coming off of the United States are definitely going to lead U.S. We're good on this. But please, U.S. folks, be ready to help these people down here. They're going to need our help. seriously. They're going to need everybody's help. From the Dominican Republic into Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, the Bahamas, potentially getting into the Turks and Caicos. We all need to come together as one and help these folks, because this, I'm not going to lie to you, again, this very well may be worse than Gilbert on the island of Jamaica. For those folks that know what I am talking about, you understand what I'm saying. Looking at our trends and our models, I've got Brian Tang's website here up from the University of Albany. The GFS, remember, this thing was steady over Hispaniola. Now the GFS wants to come over and get really, really close, if not make landfall, on the extreme eastern portions of Jamaica there with the 12Z. The Euro is a little bit, it has drifted back just a little bit to the east and is a little bit in line maybe for Kingston here. Taking a direct hit and then going over eastern portions of the island itself. The UK Met, absolutely tripping. I'm just going to say it like it is. It woke up, decided that with Melissa it was going to take a large dose of hallucinogenics, and has then therefore been tripping ever since. The Canadian model, as we can see, the Canadian model has been out there, I think, been hanging out with the UK Met, maybe getting into its stash, but is now starting to sober up a little bit and starting to kick back a little bit to the east. The H Wharf, if we see here, going south of the island and then just off of the west coast of Jamaica here. This would be catastrophic for those folks. You're getting a long duration of significant wind and rain with surge, and even though the core may not hit, but the rain would be absolutely catastrophic. If we look at the H-Wharf's intensity, we are bringing it up to a mid-grade category 4. That is also going to be indicative of land interactions as well. The H-Mon brings it out south of the island and then drives it up into the central portion of Jamaica, crossing over through eastern Cuba and then out that way. The H-Mon wants to bring this up to a low-end category 4. Again, land interaction. And its forward speed is a little bit quicker than what we have seen in some of the previous runs. That gives us less time over open waters. And then the land interaction almost instantaneously halts its further strengthening, weakens it some, and would be, still potentially being a major hurricane when it makes landfall there into eastern Cuba. Halves A, as we remember last night, I will never forget that run as long as I live. The one that was like doing the cha-cha slide and ended up coming out and did not make landfall anywhere. I honest to God, I will never forget that run as long as I live. I really won't. But as we could see, Halves A is similar to what we saw with the H-Mon, where it comes south of the island, spends about a little more than 24 hours in maybe a 50-mile range. It's not very much at all, and then turns sharply off to the northeast and then begins to accelerate, though it is making landfall into the central portions of Jamaica. At that point, though, we are looking at intensity of a high-end category 4 at this point. That's, this is what I'm talking about. Halves B, very similar to what we saw with Halves A, a little bit of a different approach here. Maybe a little bit further away from the island so we wouldn't get, kind of too much of that max wind band while it is stalled out here south of the island, and then again an even shorter distance over the 48 to 72 hour time frame, putting its right hand turn signal on and stomping on the gas pedal to get itself up to pace and merge with the jet stream off into the mid latitudes. If we look at the intensity model here for the halves B, we get it up into around the low to mid end Cat 4 range, and then of course land interactions halts the intensity. TC coamps, as we could see, TC coamps has been shifting more and more to the left. It is now over portions of eastern Jamaica, but this is absolutely terrible because I've got to pull the crayons out for this one. That is just within that circle is how far it travels over 70 or over 24 hours. That is the 48 and 72 hour timelines. This is basically parked right over the eastern portions of the island itself, would be absolutely catastrophic, and it brings it up to around a category 4 before it makes it there, and then basically like pulls the e-brake and parks it right on top of everybody's head. The HCCA consensus aid has been drifting back more and more to the east now, as you could see here. Again, we've got central portions of Jamaica, maybe a little bit of a slower timeline, but again, central portions of Jamaica. So now we're starting to see numerous models showing the potential for direct impact and direct landfall to Jamaica. Rush all preparations to completion immediately. Taking a look at the consensus intensity, category 4. You know, this has the potential to be a generational storm. The TVCN consensus aid. As you can see, this, you can't even see hardly the island of Jamaica here. This does potentially make landfall in and around the, on the southern shore, in and around the Kingston area. The overall intensity, though, being a mid-grade category 3. So around 120. The official forecast from the National Hurricane Center has this coming up, driving up right into central portions of Jamaica, but being far enough to the east to where the onshore wind of the eye wall and the core of the storm would drive water right into Kingston Harbor. Honestly, it is the worst case scenario for Kingston. Now, granted, the forecast is likely to adjust a little bit here and there, but that is currently what the National Hurricane Center center line is showing. Now, if we look here, we're about ready to go through the discussion, and you see where the National Hurricane Center's intensity is. We just went through H-Wharf, H-Mon, and all halves and TC coamps looking at their intensities. We're up here real close to category 5. And there is a reason why. And that reason why is Google DeepMind. That thing is still going absolutely bonkers in intensity. And it really is. I've never seen such a consistent run of a full suite of intensities. And I don't mean just like, you know, like, oh, there's the majority of them. No. There is literally zero that do not show this turning into some kind of monster of some sort. Now, whether it be category 3, category 4, category 5, high end on the 3, by the way, but there are so many ensembles that have it to a category 4 or 5 that it's ridiculous, and I will show that here in a little while. I've flipped up my tabs here a little bit tonight because the threat is becoming such an extreme thing that we'll get into the models later. I want to make sure that I communicate the threat level to the folks down there, and if anything, any of the work that we do here saves one life, that I'm all for it. Would love to save more. Would love to save all of them, but we'll start with one and work our way from there. So please, folks, rush all preparations to completion. I cannot stress that enough. All right, now with our forecasters discussion, the first paragraph is always the justification and verification for the reason that they gave, the intensity of what they did, kind of for the advisory that the discussion is on. I'm not going to necessarily read all of this. As far as the first paragraph is concerned, because we've already gone through the public advisory. But paragraphs 2 and 3, for the folks that always watch us, we're definitely going through paragraphs 2 and 3. All right, now that the center is becoming better aligned with its mid-level vortex, it also appears the tropical storm has finally turned more northward, with an estimated motion of due north 360 degrees at 2 knots. The synoptic track reasoning remains similar to this morning, with a slow motion expected to continue in the short term due to light steering currents due to competing mid-level ridges to the southeast and northwest of Melissa. After 24 hours, the mid-level ridge located to the northwest is expected to strengthen to the north of Melissa, and the guidance is coming into better agreement on a very slow westward motion through 72 hours. By that time frame, a strengthening mid-latitude trough expected to move into the southeastern United States, providing a path for Melissa to turn northeastward out of the Caribbean Sea into the southwestern Atlantic by the end of the forecast period. The track guidance this cycle has shifted a bit eastward beyond day 3 and is also notably faster than before. However, it should be stressed that there remains a substantial amount of a long track spread. On the forecast track, Melissa could be potentially near Jamaica by day 4 and move across Cuba before the end of the forecast period, though the timing of this track remains more uncertain than usual. Paragraph 3. Compared to yesterday, the University of Wisconsin shear estimates have dropped from 25 knots a day ago to 15 knots currently, with mid-level shear also decreasing. This reduction in shear, in combination with dramatically improved structure of Melissa this afternoon, suggests that the system is ready to take advantage of other favorable environmental conditions. 30 to 31 degrees Celsius sea surface temperatures and a moistening deep layer environment. The intensity guidance is sharply higher this afternoon in the short term, and it appears that Melissa could begin a period of rapid intensification at any time. The NHC intensity forecast responds to this guidance change by explicitly show rapid intensification earlier and continuing over the weekend. The forecast now shows a 135 knot peak in 60 hours, and there is a distinct possibility that Melissa could become a Category 5 hurricane during this time period. In fact, the latest 12Z Google DeepMind ensemble distribution shows the majority of its members reaching this lofty intensity. After that time period, inner core structural changes are likely to cause fluctuations in intensity, and land interaction in both Jamaica and Cuba will likely lead to some weakening by the end of the forecast. The NHC forecast is on the high side of the guidance envelope and is closest to the Google DeepMind ensemble mean. There it is, 155 miles an hour. In 72 hours, still maintaining that 155 could obviously be potentially stronger than that. And then inland Jamaica. Look, folks, right there, 140 miles an hour inland in Jamaica. Please rush all preparations to immediate completion. Now, we were mentioning the rapid intensification models from the University of Wisconsin and the shear values as well. We might as well just go ahead and slide that over here. This is our rapid intensification probabilities. As you can see here, the ship's rapid intensification, we're really starting to kick up. D-Tops has gone just saying, all right, let's play. And sky's the limit here, folks. Maximum basin or maximum potential intensity right now, where it is located, is 162 knots. If we look at the real-time product here from the University of Wisconsin, we can see that we're definitely starting to see a little bit of increase in our knots as far as our max wind speeds are concerned. Our AI models are starting to trigger as well. We have our shear analysis, again, down to 15 knots, as noted. Get out the way. As noted in the National Hurricane Center's 5 p.m. discussion. So it's game on, folks. Here we go. Pressures are dropping. And reconnaissance is on its way there. We've got one en route, and that is, let's see, where's that at? 69. Oh, no. What? Oh, we're coming from the south. Okay. All right. We are coming up from the southeast and headed in that direction. The plane is somewhere near 72 and 16 right now. So it will be entering there in momentarily. Our other plane is on its way in around 17.3, 75.1. So we will have to come back to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide that over here and place it in front of our daily update with the Madden-Julian oscillation. All right, our wind speed probabilities. I do have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that our wind speed probabilities for Jamaica have continued to increase, with Montego Bay at 87% seeing tropical storm force winds, 60% seeing those 50 knot or 58 mile an hour winds, and a 38% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. These values have continued to increase run after run after run. So it is likely that they are going to continue to increase with subsequent advisories. Kingston has a 91% chance of seeing those tropical storm force winds. Again, a 60% chance of seeing those 50 knot winds or 58 miles an hour, and a 37% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. The one bit of good news that I can report, Grand Cayman, you have dropped about half in your tropical storm force wind speed percentages, and your 50 knot and hurricane force wind speeds have plummeted by almost 75%. And you are now at 25% of seeing those tropical storm force winds. This shift to the east earlier with the mid-level center, or well, the surface circulation kind of dragging back towards the mid-level center, has really changed a lot of the potential for how far west this can get. And that has really improved the forecast for our friends there in the Caymans. Guantanamo Bay, here into Cuba, you have a 51% chance of seeing those tropical storm force winds, 22% chance of seeing those 50 knot winds, and a 9% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. Your values have been increasing. Now, if I scroll up here just to make sure that our friends in the U.S., because I know the last few runs that we've seen United States locations up on this probability text. I told y'all you didn't have anything to worry about except maybe this extreme outside chance of a fringe impact. Well, now you have nothing to worry about. 3% chance. 3. But don't. And those have been falling run after run. So we're good, U.S. Just be prepared to help those that are going to be in need to our south, because they're going to need it. There's going to be multiple countries that are going to need help. Take a look at our rainfall forecast. I don't have to say more than just what we have here. This is a 4-day rainfall forecast. The purple colors are 20 to 30 inches of rain. And they've had to bring in and introduce an even darker purple color because we're going to see that in the next, I would imagine that we're going to see that here soon. Look, folks, we're talking 20 to 30 inches of rain across the entire eastern half, central and eastern portions of Jamaica. And then this spot here on the Tiburon Peninsula, this is going to be catastrophic, folks. As noted by the National Hurricane Center, there's going to be a great loss of life in this region. And I just don't, man. I'm so heartbroken over just watching this unfold very, very slowly. And this is all that I can do is try to communicate all this information to folks in hopes that it just saves lives, because you can't stop this. Mother Nature doesn't care. She don't care where you live. She don't care who you believe in, what you drive, what you wear, how you cut your hair. Mother Nature doesn't care. Mother Nature is not discriminatory in the slightest. She treats everybody with vengeance when it comes to it. And as we could see, 16 to 20 inches across the majority of the island, with the eastern part being 20 to 30 inches, and the Tiburon Peninsula out here being absolutely hammered as well. This is a catastrophic situation that is about ready to unfold, that could very well lead to a humanitarian crisis. Please follow all directives issued to you by your local and government officials. If you're told to evacuate, leave. I almost put it in a much more harsh way, but I'm not trying to do that. Now, if we were talking about U.S. interest, I would have just told you in a much more folks would have probably found it very rude, but you got to speak a little harsh to folks sometimes. And if your local officials are telling you to evacuate, you need to leave. Period. Full stop. End of story. They don't tell you to leave for no reason. They guaranteed that they've got data behind that is telling them, flood potentials and landslide potentials and all this other stuff. That's why they're telling you to leave. They've got data that you may not have access to. In times of clear skies, if you'd like to know, I'm sure those folks would be more than happy to share that information with you. Now, our total rainfall forecast, this is over 4 days. We'll get it out to 5 days and then 6 days. Euro on the left, GFS on the right. As you can see, it really doesn't matter what situation we come up with. There is a catastrophic amount of rainfall that is forecast to fall. Our key messages. Again, shout out to whoever's doing this at the National Hurricane Center, to where you're categorizing the key messages for each different country and the impacts that they may see. Do this again. Do this all the time again in the future. Don't stop doing this. This makes the communication of this very, very, very clear and comprehensive. And I very much appreciate this. Key message number one, specifically for Jamaica. Due to Melissa's slow motion, a prolonged multi-day period of damaging winds and heavy rainfall resulting in potentially catastrophic flash flooding and numerous landslides is likely to begin late Saturday or Sunday. There is an increasing risk of life-threatening storm surge when the center of Melissa nears Jamaica early next week. Preparations to protect life and property should be rushed to completion. Key message number two for folks in Haiti. Heavy rainfall will result in catastrophic flash flooding and landslides across southwestern Haiti into early next week. Extensive damage to roads and buildings is expected, potentially isolating communities for an extended period of time. Immediate preparations to protect life and property should be taken. Strong winds could also potentially last for a day or more over the Tiburon Peninsula of Haiti. Key message number three, specifically for the Dominican Republic. Heavy rainfall could produce potentially catastrophic flash flooding and numerous landslides in southern portions of the Dominican Republic. Key message number four. This is for eastern Cuba and the Bahamas. Interest in Cuba and the Bahamas should monitor the progress of Melissa since there is an increasing risk of significant storm surge, damaging winds, and heavy rainfall by the middle of next week. The risk of life-threatening flash flooding and landslides in eastern Cuba are increasing. Please, 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 rush all preparations to completion. Can't stress this enough, folks. Time is one thing you can't get back. Using our database here that is tied to the Tropical Weather Threat Society that Miss Kylie made for all of us, we use these powers to go to the official sources of the governments all across the world. As you can see with some of our radar imagery out of Kingston, Jamaica, we are starting to see that shower and thunderstorm activity come in from the northeast and travel. Showers, here and there, a little bit of rain, some picking up some activity, some frequency, and some intensity here off to the southeast of to the island, kind of getting into the proximity of where Melissa is. Now, I am going to bring this back because I do want to get into our weather alerts. As you can see, there are very dangerous hazard types all across the island of Jamaica, including all of the offshore waters. Please, please, please exercise caution, follow your official sources, and stay safe, folks. I can't stress this enough. I do know that a disaster declaration for Jamaica is coming soon. Please, as you can see here, the local forecast and their news release bulletins, these will be available on the official websites. I cannot stress this enough, folks. Follow the official websites. All right. They haven't updated yet with the 5 p.m. advisory. That should be coming here in the very near future. So please monitor that as we go forward, because that's what they do. So again, official sources. Jumping over to Haiti, I'm going to hit the refresh on this to see if we've got any new update. We do not. But as you can see here, they do not. Expected episode ending, no confirmation yet. And this is a long episode and long duration event. So again, folks, they might need to be, obviously the National Hurricane Center issues their uh, their data, their correspondence, their information, and then we have to get the other governments to receive that information. They have their discussions, they formulate their forecast, and then they issue their products. So please monitor the official sources. Jumping over to the Dominican Republic. And again, we're still waiting on up around 5 p.m. today. So we do have, we do have an update. Let's see here. Highest accumulated rainfall totals: Santo Domingo East 177.9 millimeters, Hero Center 175.6. So they're getting a great amount of rain, obviously here in portions of the Dominican Republic. So please, folks, follow the official sources. All right, that's why you see exactly what we're doing here. We're communicating all of the official information as best as we can, in hopes that we can save any life. All life is precious. I don't care where you live. Jumping over to Cuba, as we can see here. Yes, we do have a new advisory out here from Cuba. So again, folks, it's all available right there with the database. We are going to kind of go through that and rename some stuff, but at the end of the season for next year. But as you can see, please, folks, follow the official sources. They are giving out information with what the National Hurricane Center is providing them. They are using that and then adding their local knowledge of their local region, and then formulating the forecast as such. Jumping over to the Bahamas, as you can see here, the Bahamas has also started to release special weather statements regarding, we'll see if we got a new one with the 5 p.m. Hit the refresh on that. No, not yet. They have not issued a new one. But as you can see, main page of the Bahamas meteorology, the official site, right here. Boom. Right. Can't miss it. Special weather statement issued. And there will be more that comes out in subsequent advisories. So please, folks, monitor the official sources. Jumping over to the Cayman Islands. As you can see here, the Caymans, your threat has reduced. That's why I kind of slid you over to the back. Still, we're looking at them continuing to watch this. So please, folks, official sources. I cannot stress this enough. Official sources. Granted, we are not an official source, but we will make sure that we communicate all of the official resources to you. Now, that being said, I am now to the point to where I've got some ensembles and some modeling to show everybody. I am going to check around for questions. I'm going to start here with Facebook, and then I'm going to jump over to YouTube. I can see the comment sections just running off in my peripheral vision. This is such a severe threat potential that I really wanted to concentrate on everything until I got to this particular point. All right, let me take a look. Yes. What you need? Amanda? Yes, we are starting a live stream schedule tomorrow. It will be 9 a.m. all times Eastern, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 6 p.m., and 10:45 p.m. We will be running 4 lives a day until this is done. I'm not playing around. I want to make sure everybody is safe. So we will be doing 4 lives a day, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 6 p.m., 10:45 p.m. until this is done. Now, I would have tried to make it, in and around the 11, but my schedule does not allow me to do 11. So I've got to pick what I got. And I got 9, 1, 6, and 10:45 p.m. all times Eastern Daylight Time. So we will be here 4 lives every day until this is done. I'm not playing around with this storm. We will be live again here tonight in 4 hours. So I'm not messing with this storm. There's too many folks at risk, too many lives at risk, and again, we might be in the United States, but I don't care where you live. I don't. I don't. All life is precious. All right. Let me take a look here. Yeah, Justin. It this thing has been doing the center of this has been bouncing around, jumping around, and it kind of reminds me of being that the name Melissa, and I'm not trying to tie a stereotype to this or anything, but it just the way that this storm has behaved is it just reminds me of somebody going down there and getting on a cruise, having a good time, having a blast, and just consuming just a way too much. I was going to say a bit, but consuming way too much adult beverages. And then at that point, it has begun to stumble around for days and days and days, just kind of laughing and joking and not really anything. And then all of a sudden, it got upset or angry, and now it's about ready to show the Central Caribbean its wrath after being stumbling around, kind of drunk out there for the last 3 days. I mean, it's certainly going to, and especially if this comes a Category 5, that only wraps up. That's going to be our third one in the Atlantic Basin for the 2025 season, and that only equates to the 2005 season. So we didn't have as many storms as what we were thought, but boy, we didn't get quantity, but we've definitely had quality this year in the basin. I mean, you're looking at this one, like 4 storms are going to be 90% of our accumulated cyclone energy for the Atlantic this year, if not more, and it's just out of 4 storms. I don't know how much Imelda is going to be able to play in there to cut into that 10%. But Aaron, Umberto, Gabrielle, and now Melissa. Those 4 storms, there is a massive portion of your accumulated cyclone energy this season. The rest of them, other than Imelda, were just kind of like, meh, whatever. Okay, let me see here. All right. I don't see very many more questions. James, thank you for uh, handling that over there. Now, we're going to jump into the ensembles here. We have the European ensembles. This is our Euro legacy. We are going to run this forward. Again, we are not looking at one specific line. We are looking at the overall uncertainty and track spread. As you can see, getting out towards day 4 here, there's a very high probability that this is going to eventually impact Jamaica, as you can see here, getting it out towards day 6. Each line is approximately 2% probability, and right now we're going to play Where's Jamaica? So high probability of direct landfall and direct impact somewhere there along the island. Comparing the Euro to the GEFS. Run this forward. The GEFS has less members, has 31 members, but again, we'll get this out to day 6. Let's play Where's Jamaica? Big time problems, even including Haiti. I mean, just because these lines here, that only represents where the center of the storm is. This storm's going to be huge. And it's going to have wide ranging impacts across a large area of, especially there into parts of the Central Caribbean. Comparing the GEFS and Euro legacy ensembles to our AI products, we've got the Euro AI here, as you can see. Where's Jamaica? We can do that again. Now, one thing that I will note about the Euro AI, it has a terrible representation of intensities. Do not let those blue lines fool you in the slightest. It has a terrible intensity representation. It's not so bad in track, but intensity, forget it. It really doesn't hold up very well, and it definitely no model has been able to match, as far as intensity this year, match the accuracy of the Google DeepMind. The Google DeepMind has, in some aspects, in some cases, put the leash on some of these other models and taken it outside for a walk and just walking along, just dragging it on along the leash, because the Google DeepMind has been absolutely phenomenal as far as a debut model this year. Never seen anything like it before. Took quite a few storms of investigating it throughout the season, just watching it, whether it be in the Atlantic Basin, Eastern Pacific, Western Pacific, doesn't matter. I watch them all. But this thing has performed extraordinarily well with track and intensity. As you can see, the intensity is completely off the charts. And when I say off the charts, if you look over here on the right hand side of the screen, we have this middle column is our intensity distribution. That is all 50 members, and it allows us to kind of drag through in time to see what we're looking at as far as our intensities are concerned. Barring land interactions, that's it. We're looking at a very high probability of seeing a major hurricane, and it would be somewhere in the range of above 90%. It's terrible. I mean, it's what, 94%, 96% chance of seeing this turn into a major hurricane, with the strongest probabilities here on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The highest probability, we're not saying that this is a guarantee, I said it's the highest probability. Category 5 at a 48%. Category 4 at a 32%. Category 3 at a 12%. Category 2, 4%. Category 1, 4%. So, you just take those percentages and the probabilities. We're looking at 40 of these ensemble members being either a Category 4 or a Category 5. This is the reason that the National Hurricane Center, because of the credibility and the trust that this model has earned over the season, all right, it's earned this. It wasn't given, it has earned its place. We're looking at a massive probability chance here of it being a very, very catastrophic situation. And a Category 5 definitely is not off the table. Not even close. Like, this thing could certainly become our third Category 5 this year. But unfortunately, this one would be the one that is going to make contact with somebody at some point in time. The other two, we got lucky. These folks down here aren't going to get lucky. Here are the Google DeepMind 12Z ensemble breakdown. If you look there on the right-hand side, there is nothing This last column, let me get that out of the way. It's the last column of numbers. Yep. That row right there, straight down, these three numbers, right? Right down this column. These are the ensemble members and their lowest pressures per ensemble member. This is, excuse me, this is the part that concerns me. The highest pressure that I can find, 942 millibars. That's the highest. Now, as you can see, I'm not trying to say, oh, look at the lowest one here, the lowest one there. No, I'm literally trying to find the highest pressure, 942. I have another one here at 940. That's still, these are all major hurricanes at some point in time. Every single one of them. It's so bad that weather models, this is the first time that weather models has ever done this. They created a new color category for 920 millibars and below. They've never done this. This is the first storm that they've ever done this with. Very concerned. Very, very concerned. As you can see with the oceanic heat content, there's plenty of fuel. And it's deep. The water is just ridiculously deep. The depth of the 26 degree isotherm. I have seen graphics that show that this 86 degree water, at least 86 degrees, goes down 150 feet below the ocean surface. I have seen those graphics. I've seen that data. 150 feet. So if you expect this thing to upwell cooler waters from below, no. It's not. It's not. This thing is going to be given like an absolute just shot of adrenaline and steroids and every other thing that you could possibly imagine. And it's going to turn into an absolute monster. And I am very, very, very concerned about that. Now, Earth Null. I haven't looked at Earth Null yet today. Let's jump in and put our trusty green circle down here. Earth Null, we use it as reference only. And we're going to run up in height. 850 is stacked up over the surface. The 700 is in very, very close proximity. You could call that vertically aligned. The 500 is just off a little bit, but boy, that's a lot closer than what we had seen recently. And the shear is still there, coming out of the northwest, but it is starting to reduce. So, folks, again, I can't stress this enough. Please, please, please rush all your preparations to completion. Taking a quick look at our deterministic runs. We have the Euro on the left and the GFS on the right. This is representative of our 850 millibar vorticity, measuring areas of spin approximately 5,000 feet above the ocean surface. As we continue to run this forward, you could see the Euro and the GFS do have completely different solutions. You know what? Hold on. Let's get a better look at this. I don't want the 18. I want the 12 so we can compare it. Let's get a little up close and personal here. All right, now we can really see the differences instead of looking at it like we needed a microscope to see it. So as we can see here, the GFS wants to bring it into the eastern portions of Jamaica. The Euro would still have its 72 hours well offset to the south of the island, coming across the central portions and then moving out. in response to that low pressure coming off of the east coast of the United States. Comparing that with our humidity models, we have the 500 millibar on the top, 700 millibar on the bottom. These are representative of areas of the atmosphere with 10,000 feet above the ocean surface on the bottom to around 18,000 feet on the ocean above the ocean surface on the top. Euro on the left, GFS on the right. Excuse me. As we run this forward, you will see the browns really starting to kick in. And right there, day 4, look at that frontal boundary that comes in across the United States. This is what is ushering Melissa off to the north and to the east rapidly at that point in time. So we don't have much longer to deal with this, maybe about a week, but unfortunately during that time there's going to be a massive amount of disasters that is going to take place. The one thing that I may be able to say here, and the GFS kind of agrees with it, not as much as what the Euro does, because the GFS doesn't really get it down that far south compared to what the Euro does, and it allows the frontal boundary to kind of come in. So for and I hope this is the case, right after the center of circulation starts to eject off to the northeast, there's going to be the dry air on the western side that's going to try to pivot down. And I'll come back here to the 72 hour, and I really want folks to keep an eye right here. All right, right here is where the storm is. I'm going to leave that circle up, and I really want to use the Euro because that's obviously been a lot more reliable than what we've seen with the GFS over the last few days, and we'll just call it for what it is. The GFS completely failed this storm. Like, total failure, flat on its face. Complete failure. Like, pick it up, throw it in the trash, failure. I'll be the first to say it. It sucked with this storm. Did a terrible job. But as we get to about day 5, you could see that storm starting to lift through. Now look there. All right, we're getting into around day 6. There is a massive injection of dry air. I don't know the temperatures that are going to be down there, but that drier air will help to eliminate shower and, remaining shower and thunderstorm activity that would then allow for folks there in Haiti, Jamaica, and eastern Cuba and the Bahamas to be able to see an environment after the storm passes that would allow for the waters to drain and maybe things to dry out, or at least temporarily have some decent recovery weather after a week of being absolutely pounded by biblical style rains. So that may be the only point of optimism here, that we could allow some aid vessels. I know the SEDEMA, the Caribbean Emergency Management and Disaster Organization, I know that they're already activated. There's a lot of the other islands out there that are ready to just pounce the moment that they get the opportunity to get in there to help. Just the question is what's it going to look like when it's done? Hopefully they can at least clear some of the areas to allow aid to get in very quickly after this storm exits the region. All right, jumping over to our wind shear. As you could see here, the subtropical jet stream is to the north. There it goes. We no longer have a lot of shear down there. The storm itself is creating its own upper level environment, and it is turning into an absolute monster. As that next trough begins to work in and allow Melissa to pull to the north with that weakness in the ridge, boom, There it goes. But I've got to say this because it seems to be the theme of the season. Yes, we are talking about everybody down here in the Caribbean. We're talking about Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, Caymans, Cuba, Bahamas. Maybe even we'll pull up the Turks and Caicos, see what they got going on as well here in a moment. But the theme of the year has been the storm goes for Bermuda. Bermuda, keep an eye on this. You're not out of the woods. You're not out of the woods at all. If it is going to arrive, it's going to be around in between day 6 and 7. That is obviously not there located on the National Hurricane Center's information because that only goes out 5 days. So, folks in Bermuda, keep an eye on this thing. Like you guys should be used to it by now. You've had to watch every single storm practically this season with a direct hit from Imelda. But you may not be done. Melissa might have a little bit of consolation prizes for you guys, which I'm not. That sucks. Let's see. Can we pull this and get this a little closer? You know what? Let's pull the 18Z on the GFS. See if that thing is still tripping. All right. We have here the infrared satellite. This is the simulated infrared satellite. This is when you look at a satellite image. I will drop this over to the infrared vision. And you can see this is what we always see. All right. A lot of people would be able to recognize at least this view. This measures the temperature of the cloud tops. And obviously, the colder the cloud tops, the stronger the storms. As you can see, we have a very, very large area, a very powerful area of thunderstorm activity near and around the center. So, by looking at this satellite, what this model is trying to do is predict what that satellite is going to look like in the future. All right. And as we run this forward, we are going to see the exposure of the eye of the storm. There you go. The GFS develops a very clear eye in the beginning. That is the 18Z, still sticking and hanging out on the extreme eastern portion of the island of Jamaica. So the 18Z GFS did not change very much compared to its 12Z run. And as we could see with the Euro, we get something, you don't really see the clear eye there. It's definitely trying to develop. It's just, we would see a very clear eye here in 90 hours compared to the Euro. But you've got a lot of smoothing in here and it just gets kind of rough. We're zoomed out this far as well. We already know that the Euro brought this into, oh Lord status. And if you see the structure on that as it's moving up towards Bermuda, could become extra tropical by that point in time. But again, Mother Nature doesn't care what you call it. Impacts are impacts. Now, we are back to our reconnaissance. Let's take a look. 993. We are starting to get a little bit of the increase in winds here on the northern side. And the center is going to be around 16.1, 16.2, and 74.7 by the most recent NOAA reconnaissance plane. Let's slide down here. I thought we had a 10. Yes, we do. And it is going to be coming in from the northeastern quadrant and flying through the northeastern quadrant down into the southwestern quadrant on that pass. So that plane it's getting close. 73.7 and about 16.8. So probably about another 30 minutes or so. And we get that data. All right, jumping over to our MJO forecast. Again, we're phase four. We're not going to talk about this much more this season. I think that I am going to remove this from the frames because, and I'll show you why. We're not looking at much. Tropical cyclone for the Atlantic Basin. No tropical cyclone. No new tropical cyclone development is expected getting through into the middle part of November, and especially after we have such a powerful system out here with Melissa being caught by a frontal boundary, and then on the backside, how it slings that dry air into the areas to where Melissa was once impacting. The chances of us seeing more tropical cyclones later on in this year is going to be very low. I'm not going to say that it's not going to happen, but it is going to be very low chance. Once, like I said, once Melissa really puts the lock on this basin, that's pretty much going to be about it for the season. This is probably our last one. Maybe get a little homegrown subtropical something or other somewhere, but as far as like massive intensities go, I don't think so. I really don't. All right, now we are going to end up out into the Eastern Pacific. Let's see here. Making sure that I am checking everything here. Yes, Elsa, Greater Antilles, and yes, shallow depth. Let me see. I wish I knew what that was in reference to, because right now it is. I mean, it has been very shallow in the storm structure, but it is certainly starting to build its vertical alignments and its vertical structure, and hence why we are starting to see those pressures drop here this afternoon. It was extrapolated to 991. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that, sir. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I thank you, sir. I appreciate that. 991. And it could very well be. There's no doubt about it. They'll throw a number up here. But they read the data. They read the data very much so. We didn't get. If you ever are watching this and you catch the 10-minute thing for anybody else that may be watching here on Facebook or YouTube, if you catch this 10-minute run, yeah, sometimes you can break it down. I wish I had Kylie here. If Kylie was here, she'd click right there and she'd just go right. She'd just start running right through these numbers. I personally, yes, I could run through these numbers, but in all honesty, no. I do that on the backside. I'm not going to try to run through the numbers in the middle of the live. She used to do that until school and work and everything else, until the real life finally came to be for Miss Kylie. But jumping out here to the Eastern Pacific, we have newly formed Tropical Depression 8E, or 18E. I'm sorry. I am going to spend as little time on this as possible. It developed at 13.2 north, 116.0 west. It doesn't matter how far it is away from land. It has a maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour. It is currently moving west at 13 with minimum central pressure of 1,000 millibars. There are no coastal watches or warnings in effect. There never will be coastal watches or warnings in effect. There are no hazards affecting land. There will never be hazards affecting land. If we look at the forecast track, you don't hardly see anything. A little military island out here, Sirocco Island, but then otherwise than that, it is literally out here with the fishes. And it is the definition of a fish storm. I am not going to read the forecaster's discussion to anybody. I didn't even read it myself because this is absolutely no threat to land and has literally zero interest or my attention. With Melissa sitting out there in the basin. Maximum intensity for this over the next 60 or the next 72 hours, 60 miles an hour, and then a post-tropical remnant low in 120 because it moved too far west and got into some much cooler waters. For a confirmation, as you can see here with our Euro Legacy, this is out 10 days. No. The GEFS, no. And the Euro AI, no. If we want to come back and look at the Google DeepMind just for comparison, no. Got one model that might get it up to a category 2, but no, it's not going to do much. Now, I'm going to preset this, if you guys don't mind, because I need to go right there because I know what's coming. All right, jumping out to the Western Pacific. We still have Chenghe. It's out here. It's trying to do its thing. 35 knots, minimal tropical storm, wide wind field, falling apart, moving towards the eastern portions of Africa. But if we come back to this, we have Invest 92A. We have Invest 94B, and we have Invest 95S. A, representative of the Arabian Sea. B, representative of the Bay of Bengal. And S, for the southern Indian Ocean. It is on the south side of the equator. Let's go back to DeepMind. Why, might you ask? Well, there goes our couple first waves, our little areas of interest. Keep an eye. Here we go. There comes something for the Philippines, and this right here. This right there. Why didn't you populate the map? Google. Hello. Do you want to? Hello. There we go. Welcome back. Let's try this again. There we go. That's much better. Now, we're looking here in the Bay of Bengal. All right, we've got Myanmar, we've got Bangladesh, we've got India, or Myanmar. However, I know folks, they pronounce it differently. The thing about this is this area of the world, right in here. That is the most storm surge prone area in the entire world. And especially up here. Like really, really bad. Like just a regular tropical storm can push like 10 feet of storm surge. You get something that is, we're looking at something ridiculous, say as a category 3 storm. You're looking at, I would need to ask Dr. Needham, but you're probably looking at close to maybe 30, 40 feet of storm surge. And you guys think that I would be making stuff up. Oh, no. No, definitely not. This is the most storm surge prone area on the entire planet. Yes, Louisiana is bad. Yes, the west coast of Florida is bad. Yes, getting up there towards the New England area around New York and the right angle around Long Island. Yeah, it's bad. It ain't that bad. It ain't like that. So, folks out there, yeah. And yes, we do have followers from out here. So, please, be aware. This first one looks like it's going to go towards India as far as the DeepMind is concerned, as you can see here. Doesn't really catch much intensity. India does an excellent job as far as tropical cyclones are concerned. It's that second one. that's got a little bit of the wrong angle and comes in on the wrong side. There's a lot of refugees in that area, a lot of low-lying areas. Nightmare scenario if that were to occur. All right, everybody, I'm going to check back. Let's see. I don't have anything else. All right, I am going to go ahead and sign off here for a little while. I will be back here again, 10:45 Eastern, 9:45 Central Time, PM, with the latest of the 11 p.m. primary advisory on Melissa. And we will go over some of the models, some of the new rapid intensification stuff. We'll get some verification going. I won't do the big deep dive like I normally do here at the 6 p.m. I usually save our 6 p.m. live stream to really get into the weeds. But we'll, if we have to, and being that the threat that is there, if we need to get into the weeds, let's go. We'll just drive right into it. So we're here for the long haul for everybody. So I'm gonna go take a break, find some dinner, and I'll see y'all in a little over 3 hours. So stay safe again, folks out here. Rush all preparations to completion. You're all going to hear me say that a million times over the next few days. So please, I just want everybody to stay safe. So, all right. I will talk to you all again here.